First, bitches, welcome, man. Appreciate you waiting all this time. Yeah, it's time to discuss what's going on with the Trump administration here now when it's coming to immigration and what year we're in now, of course, which is 2026. There's a lot to discuss, and it's all centered today around Greg Bovino, the director of Border Patrol. I actually wrote down what his title is called here. Commander at Large. Greg Bovino, the Commander at Large, reportedly has been let go, or at the very least is being moved out of Minneapolis now, back to California, with unconfirmed reports by The Atlantic that he's going to be retiring as well. Retiring, let's put that in quotations too. Now, these are all unconfirmed reports. And on the other side of the unconfirmed reports of The Atlantic, we have our own independent journalist, that being, of course, Nick Sortor. And Nick Sortor on X is insisting that he has inside information. He has sources on the inside who are saying this is not what they're claiming it is. They're not just moving the border security director out of Minneapolis. They are firing him. According to Nick Sortor, the Trump administration is not happy with the imagery that has been put forth by Greg Bovino. They're worried about optics more this year for obvious reasons. We're in a midterm election cycle now. And so they're firing him. And Nick Sortor says it's bullshit. The narrative is bullshit. The White House insists that they're not firing him. But Nick Sortor says, no, that's bullshit. They are. And they've already eliminated the Commander at Large position. They've eliminated it, according to Nick Sortor. So that's the news that's trending all over the place right now. And it seems like the liberals just continue to get their way, even though the Trump administration is at its most powerful, even currently. We have control of everything, Republicans. Yet for some reason, we've seen Trump continuously cuck out so much. And this looks to be another example of that. It's honestly getting to the point where it's beyond frustrating. Something else needs to be done here. So that's what we need to talk about. I see USA says, bro's worried about looks when he can't even run for another term. Exactly. I'm going to cover all of that, man. I'm going to cover all of that. The only thing threatening midterms is their pathetic behavior. I'm so on board with that at this point. I really, truly am. I mean, let's cover what's going on right here. I have notes here. It says, Bovino. This is the examples. These are the examples, by the way, of why the liberals hated Bovino. First and foremost, apparently, Greg Bovino was criticized for his jacket. And see, this, of course, all fits into that narrative that we've had with the liberals firing on all cylinders against the Republicans for being too much like the Gestapo. And so Greg Bovino, I kid you not, the liberals were criticizing Greg Bovino early on this winter for wearing a long jacket. They said, that's very SS looking, isn't it? So there's that criticism. Secondly, and it's not even worth addressing at length, right? Like, who gives a shit what kind of a jacket he's wearing? Bovino insisted it was standard issue Border Patrol winter wear, which it appears to have been. But the second form of criticism that's really worth addressing here, and I'm going to give you my stance on all of that, my opinions on all of that, is the fact that according to a lot of reports, Greg Bovino was openly encouraging tear gas to be administered on rowdy rioters, rowdy protesters, who truthfully we should be referring to at this point as agitators, right? Nothing more than what like Alex Pretty was, an agitator, a Renee Good, an agitator. And so according to reports, Greg Bovino was encouraging the use of tear gas without warning, and this really upset people. This apparently is an abomination to liberals. How dare you use tear gas to disperse crowds of agitators? So that's what's going on over here. This is why they're so upset about him. And it seems like this Alex Pretty situation, which again, soft-ass Republicans, I can't stand my own party for this reason. They refer to all of these situations as tragedies. These are not tragedies. These are predictable outcomes, and it's justice being served. I see we're getting some views in here. Please be sure to like the stream right now if you'd be so kind. It truly helps my stream perform on the algorithm, which is already actively against me for obvious reasons. My messaging is not very popular for all of these liberally controlled social media platforms. I see we got another comment in here. I'll take a pause real quick to read that. False Flag Ops, says Christopher Blau. WWE scripted Jerry Springer production in association with Joey What? Okay. Oil up for Jesus. Okay. Anyways, what I want to discuss, Alex Pretty. That seems to be the straw that has broken the camel's back. And what's really going on here, by the way, is the fact that this is a midterm election season now we're in this year. Midterms are coming up at the end of this year, and the Trump administration is very concerned. They want Republicans, obviously, to win the midterms, because if they don't, Trump's final 2 years in office will be spent literally just dealing with impeachments and trials and investigations. He's not going to be able to get anything done. And you see all of this stuff happening now across America, right? Republicans are doing their best to redistrict their states to maintain more control over the House of Representatives, etc. Some states are being idiotic about it, like Indiana, virtue signaling that it's not right, etc. Regardless of how they redistrict, I think what's happening here, truthfully, is the Republican Party is losing popularity, not just with independents, but also with conservatives. They're sort of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation here, and they're failing miserably on both ends. What do you mean your messaging is the dominant theory? On what? He's too young to know about Joey B and Amy. Yes, I'm sorry, I probably am. Joey B? I don't know where that's being referenced from, but yes, I'm a young millennial. I'm not super young, like in my early 20s. I like to say I have 1 foot still in my youth. But I am young. Yeah, I'm pretty young. Regardless, back on point here. Alex Pretty, right? All of the news circulation going on about Alex Pretty and how this was an unjustified killing and blah, blah, blah. What people aren't understanding here is Alex Pretty showed up as an agitator. He stood in the middle of the street. He egged on ICE immigration officials and Border Patrol agents. He was recording. He was protesting, but he was an agitator. Protesters don't run out into the middle of the street to harass officials as they're doing their work. Protesters don't show up with a loaded sidearm, typically, without documentation that proves that they're legally carrying, which is what Alex Pretty was doing at the time. Alex Pretty, technically, though he was authorized to own that sidearm, wasn't actually legally carrying in that instance because he didn't have any paperwork or permits on his person to identify that. Not that it would have mattered exactly, but what wound up happening ultimately was, and now more and more footage is being released, footage before the incident is being released, they were harassing the officials, who are, by the way, federal law enforcement agents. That cannot be overstated enough. These are federal law enforcement agents. And what ultimately wound up happening was Alex Pretty decided, for some reason, as a white man living in Minneapolis, that Somalis and illegal immigrants were worth dying for, potentially. He decided to put his life on the line because, you know what? I'll tell you this right now. I'm not worried about that ever happening to me. I'm not worried at all that I will ever be thrown down into the street by ICE immigration agents or Border Patrol agents and shot. I'm not worried. Call me crazy all you want. Insist that I could be next. I'm not buying that bullshit. I think you're an absolute fucking idiot if you want to sit here and say they're coming for you at some point in time. No, they're not. My parents were born here in America and I was born to them. My parents' parents were born here in America. They were born to them. I'm here legally, bitch. And I voted for Trump for this to be happening. This is called accountability for your actions. This is called true justice. And this is called, I voted for this. The people have mandated this. Deport every illegal immigrant out of this country. Jesus loves you. Yes, he does. And I love Jesus. Now, please don't spam the chat, though. Honestly, there's no need for that. Jesus loves you. We get it. Thank you. Yeah, there's a million of you going around on the internet. Okay, thank you very much. Jesus loves you, everyone. Jesus loves you. God. I get being excited about your faith, but like, come on now. You don't need to spam it. All right. And by the way, I share that faith as a born-again Christian nationalist. That's what this channel is all about. Please be sure to like this stream right now if you agree with this messaging. It truly helps in the algorithm. Now, what I want to get back on track here and discuss, the midterms, Alex Pretty. All of this has been a common trend happening with President Donald Trump, and I've been noticing it for months, right? It really, truly all started last year in that disastrous interview with Laura Ingraham. and President Donald Trump talking about how Americans just weren't qualified enough, and we need to continue to allow H-1B visa holders and work visa immigrants to come into this country from these other countries. They're going to teach us over time, but for now, we're going to hire them because they're much more qualified than Americans. That was, like, in my mind, the first instance of this Trump administration softening their stance on immigration. The truth of the matter is, as a country right now, we can no longer afford to continue to allow any immigrants into this nation. We've been flooded with illegal immigrants under the Biden regime and even in part under the Trump administration as well. They've all been here for too long. The Trump administration is not as efficient as they should be in deporting all of these motherfuckers. And on top of it, we're still allowing people to come into this nation right now. Understand something. As an American, you are being replaced. You are being replaced by your own government, by immigrants from another third world country who they claim are more qualified than you, even though they literally, some of these people literally eat cow shit and think it's delicious. They throw shit into rivers and clean waters and pollute them over time, and their cities look like fucking hellholes. If they were smarter than us, would they not be living in luxury? Would they not be living in first world cities? They're not. You're being lied to even by this administration, which I voted for. And Trump is doing some good things, but overall, in my opinion, his agenda is failing miserably. This Greg Bovino thing is just another example of that. So you have to understand that. This is a mandate, and it needs to be ramped up. And unfortunately, it's only been getting de-escalated more and more by the Trump administration. First, it was the H-1Bs. We got to allow those qualified third world people into this country. You Americans aren't cutting it. They're coming in, by the way, to develop more AI tech to replace you on top of that. So you're being replaced on two fronts. You're being replaced by immigrant workers who are supposedly more qualified than you, and then they're coming in and replacing the jobs that create AI in some cases, and that AI is going to replace many jobs. This is the future of America if we don't stop it now. Immigration must be shut down. AI must be regulated on a domestic front. Neither of those is happening under this administration. Neither of them. The border may be secure at the southern end right now. People aren't sneaking in illegally as much, but we're still allowing legal immigration in this country, and we shouldn't be. That's first and foremost. Now, when it comes to deportations, the Department of Homeland Security is not being as transparent as they promised to be. They're not actually deporting nearly as many people as they want you to believe that they are. And they're using terms like self-deportation, people who have fled this country, which is never a bad thing. People who are in this country illegally should be terrified of ICE. That's what I voted for. I didn't vote for illegal immigrants to be able to hide in this nation comfortably and with the chance of maybe one day ICE knocks on their door and says, hey, it's time to leave. I voted for ICE to go through each sanctuary city and round up every illegal immigrant scum in this country, throw them in Alligator Alcatraz, send a judge cell by cell in Alligator Alcatraz to quickly do a trial right at the edge of their cell, figure out the legitimacy of their citizenship, and if there isn't legitimacy there, deport them immediately. And I'll be even more honest with you, I don't give a fuck where we send them. People are always concerned about, well, some of their homeland countries aren't taking them back. Not our problem. Looks like they're going to Africa then. I mean, honestly, anywhere but here. Do you know the amount of illegal immigrants in this country currently is costing America roughly $450 billion annually? That is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. And that's why it has to be ramped up. I've proposed situations in the past now where we need to 10x the amount of ICE immigration agents out there. Hire them. It'll be expensive, but it'll save us money in the long run. Also, we need to hire bounty hunters. It's not good enough what's happening. We need to hire bounty hunters. Illegal immigrants are not American citizens. Their safety is not my concern. It's not. I do not care. I want them out. They've had their chance to deport themselves, and they're not taking it. And little do people know that the Trump administration, Trump is such a sweet, sweet old man. Trump is literally offering them the chance. He's paying for their trips to leave up to $2,600. Leave now. That's not being reported on anywhere. They want you to think Trump is leading the modern day Gestapo in the form of ICE agents with this Greg Bovino, who's now likely being fired by this cucked administration. And the truth of the matter is, it's far from that. Trump has given them all a chance to leave. He's even trying to pay them to leave with the promise that I don't even agree in, the promise of possible re-entry the legal way should they decide to come back. He's being more than reasonable. He's actually being opposite unreasonable. These people should be forced out of this country and banned forever. Their problems are not mine. I'm going to take a pause here. We got some comments coming in, so I'm going to read a few of them, starting with this guy who sounds like an absolute pussy, I can tell. You don't give a fuck about where you send them? That sounds so Christian. Love you. The hypocrisy is crazy. Love you too. Mwah. Go kiss your boyfriend for me now. I'm sure he's proud of you being on this stream, sending such a pathetic chat like that. As if you actually care. Wow, you completely virtue signaled today. People know now you're such a good person. Network Calico 247. You're probably making both your mothers proud. Congratulations. They finally love you now. A mission accomplished. Please go find another stream now, like David Pacman or something like that, okay? Brian Krastenstein, he's more your speed, okay? Okay, sweetheart. Go dye your hair blue, okay? Don't worry about going on a diet. You're beautiful as is. Your boyfriend loves you, and both your moms do too, okay? All right, let's see what else is going on here. I hope Trump meets the Grim soon. Okay, thanks. Thanks for that, Jersey Mike. Wonderful. And then they want to say we're the scum, right? They want to say we're the scum. By the way, I wonder if Renee Good's face hurts. Why shouldn't we allow immigration? You want to answer? Because America first, bitch. That's why. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. We've been flooded now with illegal immigrants, many of whom are anywhere between 1.5 to 5 times more likely to commit a crime, by the way. Completely the opposite of the narrative you're probably being told by your fancy fucking CBS News sources and your New York Times newspaper. We shouldn't allow them because we don't owe the world anything. Cheesy Ches 421. We don't owe them anything. What we do owe is American citizens, especially us young generation Americans, the chance to pursue the American dream. It truly is about getting back to that golden age that Trump has promised us and is massively, unfortunately, under-delivering on. But America must come first. We must prioritize ourselves. Our country is falling apart, and illegal immigrants are not going to make it any better. They're actually going to make it worse. Like in some cases in Little Somalia, this whole Minneapolis situation. They haven't made it better. They defrauded their government. Quality Leering Center. These fucking 67 IQ, inbred, light bulb headed illegal immigrants, many of them, have come to this country from a country like Somalia. We should have never accepted them into this nation. They don't belong here. They can't add value. And they're not adding value. They're subtracting value. They're taking your money and sending it back to their country. They're pirates. That's why we don't allow immigrants into this country. The only immigrants that are in this country that are worth anything come from the European regions. We built this country. We did. And Italians, throw them in there too. They contributed a lot too, but Italians are, they're pretty much 3/4 of the way there when it comes to being European. So that's what actually matters. That's why we don't allow immigrants into this country, and we need to shut it down for 20 years, immigration. Shut it down. Shut it down. We need to find out a way. We need to figure out how to get our own domestic birth rates up, reproduce, develop our own manufacturing, put our country first. And then when we do reopen the border, we need to start discriminating from all of these third world countries. No more third world country immigration. No more. They have their own problems. I hope they find God. I hope they go to heaven in the afterlife. I truly do. But they have their own problems to deal with, and they have to deal with them. We can't help them, and we don't owe them that help. We don't. Their government and their leaders owe them that, and it's not being provided to them, and that sucks. But that's life, bitch. Life's not fair. Okay. And it's even more unfair to try to help people that aren't grateful for it. Like, I don't know, Somalians in Minneapolis, or how about Dearborn, Michigan, where they're blatantly changing the culture there to be more Muslim friendly. So that's where I'm at on that. I'll take a look at a few more comments, but I'm going to get back onto the monologue here and what's happening here with Greg Bovino. Bro, you're not young and you sound super racist. Thank you. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Social Security, address that. They pay in and don't take out. Yeah, I got my own thoughts on Social Security. We do allow immigration regulated. We get to choose who is allowed in our house, don't you? Yeah, we need to really buckle down on immigration reform though. Black people I'm not even gonna finish reading that. That is folly. Yes, but they make your breakfasts. No, they don't. I make my own fucking breakfast. Thank you very much. Europeans stole this land. We conquered it. There's a big difference. Conquering and stealing, much big difference. In fact, in a lot of cases, actually, stole's not even appropriate. We purchased it, you fucking idiot. Have you not read American history, you stupid bitch? We literally purchased, like what is it? At least half of this country was purchased. God, man, people are so uneducated and stupid. Oh my God, I can't even. I mean, please get off. Listen, your hair's blue. You're 400 pounds overweight. You don't even know who your father is. You have two mothers. You don't belong on this stream. This channel's not for you. This is for America First American advocates. Okay. This is an American advocate coalition we're creating here. All right. It's not for people like you. The Europeans stole this land. Get fucking serious with your life. Okay. Get fucking serious with your life. Aren't you tired of being a pathetic pussy loser? Purchased. Exactly, Jesse Valentine. Exactly. Somebody knows what's up. Wait till you find out who does all the farm labor. Hey, I'm about to cover that right here. Actually, let's lead into that because that's actually perfect right here. Not only are midterms coming up, one of the main reasons we're seeing the Trump administration soften on their immigration approach. Trump with the H-1B visas, the Chinese students. He wants 600,000 Chinese students entering this country to keep colleges afloat, despite the fact that we call ourselves a free market capitalist society. If we were truly a free market capitalist society, we would allow businesses to go out of business if they were heading that direction. We wouldn't be bailing them out or administering such practices as allowing Chinese students to flood our nations because the colleges won't survive. Yet there's Trump in front of Laura Ingraham saying we need more Chinese students and more Indian workers to flood this country because Americans aren't supporting colleges anymore and they're not smart enough to do the jobs that we need. Not only that was where it all started. But now what we have is Trump literally saying and almost catching himself, because I think Trump knows that this narrative is not going to be popular with his main base. But he literally said, I was the one. I said, you got to ease up. You got to go a little easier on them. You got to go a little easier on the farmers. The farmers, our big, beautiful farmers. They need these beautiful immigrants who are working on their. He didn't say it. This is not a direct quote, but essentially he addressed the issue. He literally said that he was the one that said ease up on the farmers and the hotel service industry workers. Why? Because so many of them are illegal immigrants. And this is one of the main reasons, by the way, why we will never actually get the deportations that many of us voted for. It's because, in all honesty, there are so many illegal immigrants baked into our society now that if you cut all of them by deporting all of them at too rapid of a pace, our GDP will actually be affected now. Our combined GDP will actually suffer. On top of that, prices will go up, at least at first, which would be a terrible look for the Trump administration, because yes, that commenter, who might even be a liberal, it's a common liberal argument, but I don't agree with it, but I understand the validity of it. Yeah, our farmers over the years have learned to take advantage of illegal immigrants because they work for like $3 an hour. It's modern day slavery is what it is, and liberals don't realize that they're actually defending that, right? Liberals will literally say stuff. I've had somebody in my own gym tell me this, who's, by the way, a boomer cucked Republican, but may as well be a liberal at that point. And he said, no, you don't understand those poor people that are picking the fruits out in the fields. Those people, who else is going to clean your kitchen and your toilets in the hotels? It's like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? This is the main argument that Southern liberals and Democrats used in, the Civil War era. They don't even hear themselves. They completely don't understand the narrative there, but that is the narrative. And that's what it is. It is modern day slavery. They're being taken advantage of by farmers, which is all the more reason to deport their illegal immigrants. And then ultimately we have to suffer the increased costs in goods for quite a while until it obviously levels out at some point again. But those are American jobs, rightfully, is what it is. That's really how I view it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's why what we need going forward, Zesty AI. Who's that? I love Zesty AI. America is the world. That's why going forward, what we really need to do is we need to get somebody in office who's willing to make the sacrifice play. and it doesn't seem to be Trump. In fact, Trump is repeating the same mistake that he made in his first administration, and it's going to play out very likely just as tragically. Because who's now being sent to Minneapolis to replace Greg Bovino, who's very likely being fired, rumored being fired, but very likely being fired? He'll retire, right? The Atlantic reports Bovino's being sent to California out of Minneapolis. He's been demoted, and he's very likely going to retire, according to reports. That's soft firing. That's what that is. That's the Trump administration cleaning up. Kristi Noem is now rumored to be on the chopping block next. I've never even been a big fan of hers, but this is what they're doing now. It's midterms. It's time to clean up the image, right? This is not popular. It's becoming less popular, I should say, with independents. They're worried about midterms. And so Tom Homan's being sent there now. Well, Tom Homan is a savage in a lot of ways, but Tom Homan was also involved with President Donald Trump in his first term over the Family Separation Act. And we saw this before the midterms, 2017. The Family Separation Act, that stupid bimbo Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez whining and crying about how children were separated from their families, put in cages. They showed the pictures. They didn't give you the backstory about how it was actually President Obama who set up that system. They always leave that part out, and Republicans' messaging always sucks so much that they can't correct it publicly for whatever reason. But the Family Separation Act, and Trump decided, ultimately, midterms are coming up. This is not popular. This looks bad. We need to stop doing that. And so Trump started softening up on immigration in his first term in 2017. Did it save the midterms for Republicans? No. The Republicans got annihilated in the 2017 midterms. They got absolutely destroyed. And so softening on immigration didn't help them then. What makes them think it's going to help them now? I have no clue. I can't understand this play at all. You're now isolating your voting base that would vote for you if you were following through on the immigration reform we actually want. Now they're going to be mad at Trump. And the independents still aren't going to be happy because, truthfully, it's already too late. Alex Preddy was shot. And I'm not here to defend Alex Preddy, by the way. I'm not here to defend him at all. I think it was justified. It's called reasonable force. It's not even about being correct. It's literally about being reasonable. Nevertheless, we have Alex Preddy, we have Renee Good, we have all of these incidents happening now. ICE is being demonized. They're referred to as the Gestapo. The deportations, they're showing ICE is following school buses. I already made a video on that. Subscribe to American Advocates right now. Check out all of my content. We've covered all of it. I'm in favor of ICE following school buses. I am in favor of it, okay? 9-year-old children who are here illegally need to be deported too. That's called reality. You think anybody needs to be or should be exempt from this? I certainly don't. By the way, be sure to give this stream a like if you're agreeing with what I'm saying here. It truly helps this stream perform well in the algorithm. He looks a little messed up. Who? ICE is doing pretty good. Hell yeah. Rage bait. No rage bait here. These are genuine beliefs of mine. This is called W ICE. Hell yeah. Joel Brown 5007. The left needs to leer. They do need to leer. But honestly, the Republicans need to leer too. We need a leering center for Republicans. They don't know how to stick together. They don't know how to put out the right narratives. They don't know anything about loyalty. Greg Bovino is very likely being fired for image purposes. And the Democrats, they stick together. And this is leading me into the next part of the problem here. Republicans are going to very likely lose midterms this year, just like they did in 2017 under Trump when he softened on immigration back then. So you're going to wind up in this situation where Trump softens on immigration, doesn't give the voter base and the people who voted for him what they want, doesn't win back many of the independents. Democrats will vote against him no matter what. Republicans lost the midterms. Immigration got worse in 2019. Under Trump, we had a terrible time at the southern border in 2019 because they softened their stance. Will history not repeat itself now? I think it will. And I think it's a huge mistake. That's why what I'm saying is we need a guy in office who's going to make the sacrifice play. We need a leader who's going to recognize just how disastrous it will be initially to fulfill the mandate of deporting all of the illegal immigrants. Our GDP will suffer. Our economy will suffer. And it won't be popular. And the midterms might be lost as a result for whichever president decides to do that. You need to be a soldier about it. You need to just get it done anyway. I'm going to take a swig of water here. take a look at some comments before I move on to some of my final points here, like the bottleneck justice that we're going to get under Bondi, for instance, and what the consequences will be for backing down in this on this national stage like this from the administration. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. 80 is too old. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I mean, that's another part of the equation, right? Gregory Young, 5429. That is another part of the equation, honestly. It really is. Trump is an old man now. You know, a lot of that fire that we saw out of Trump even just 12 years ago doesn't seem to be there. He's tired. It's understandable. He's tired. And it's like you can't fully criticize Biden without partially at least criticizing Trump on the same aspect of age. Biden was in a much worse state. The dementia was unreal with him. And, you know, Trump's not nearly at that point, but Trump doesn't have that energy. He doesn't seem to have that fire in him that he had 12 years ago. If this was Trump 12 years ago, it might be at least a slightly different story. And then even then, part of Trump's problem is, and I've said this in prior live streams, Trump is all tactics and no strategy, which is why we rarely ever see the follow through that we need. Trump loves facing things head on. He loves his tactics. Rattle the cages, over ask, and then settle for exactly what you want. It's the art of the deal. It works in a lot of cases. It works. And Trump is tireless when it comes to attacking the liberal narrative and doing so with the same tactics that they use, which is why they despise him. But when it comes to strategy, everything's adaptable. Everything's done on the fly with this administration. And that's why ultimately there's no follow through. And that's why ultimately Trump chickens out. Trump always chickens out. It's because the tactics are great, but the implementation via strategy is lackluster. And that's why the border wall, for instance, where's the border wall? Where is it? Why is it's always being built, but it's never finished? In his first term, it was a joke what he got accomplished with the border wall. You know, do we do the border wall? Don't we do the border wall? They say not to. Like Trump almost gets to a point where he listens to too many differences of opinions. He's old now. A lot of his administration is full of cucks, a lot of weak Republicans that are too afraid to do what's necessary. And so all he's getting is like these differences of opinions. He can't decide what to do, and he just changes his mind. And it's always for the worse, it seems. Greg Bovino is an example of that. He's changing his mind on immigration. He's softening the stance because he wants Republicans to have a better chance at midterms. No doubt there's no doubt congressmen calling him saying, we're going to get annihilated this year if you continuously send ICE agents and out into these streets going door to door looking for illegal immigrants. If you continue up with these deportations that turn violent, we're going to get annihilated. And the problem is, it's not the law enforcement. The law enforcement is what people voted for. The problem is we have a bottleneck in this Trump DOJ, and her name is Pam Bondi. We have a bottleneck in this Trump DOJ, and his name is Kash Patel. We have bottlenecks in our DOJ currently that are too afraid to administer true justice. So you get these rioters out here because there's no real consequences being served to anybody who acts out this way. That's why you have an Alex Preddy who feels so emboldened that he decided to show up with a sidearm, run out into the street, harass ICE agents and Border Patrol agents relentlessly. And then, yes, he resisted arrest. And they discovered he had a sidearm on him, and we got caught. And no, it's not a tragedy. But because they're allowing this to occur, I can't tell you. If you're on X, you see the videos. I just saw a video of it looked like a Border Patrol agent defending a hotel from a massive group of agitators who were smashing windows, spray painting windows, kicking down the door, tearing up the hotel lobby, right? ICE out, they were spray painting on the windows. And there was one Border Patrol agent there who ultimately wound up defending the entrance, screaming at the independent journalists and people with their cell phones, "Where are the police?" Right? And this all comes back to justice. This all comes back to the softball justice that we're witnessing on display with this current Trump DOJ. Maria Cook 8540 says you're 100% correct. Thank you, Maria. Be sure to subscribe right now if you haven't already. These are the kind of people that I'm trying to build here with this American Advocates Coalition. We need more people who are going to be openly critical about the Trump administration while also understanding that the liberal party is beyond corrupt and wicked. You never support liberals. You always support conservatives to a degree, but you don't support conservatives if they're not going to deliver on their promises, and we're not getting our promises delivered on. The promises that were made to us have been either under-delivered or not delivered on at all. By the way, also, please be sure to give this stream a like if you agree with what I'm saying. It helps with the algorithm. Back to my main point here. Backing down like this is only going to serve to embolden the liberals. They're now going to see these headlines about Greg Bovino being pushed out of Minneapolis, and they're going to say, holy shit, our protesting worked. We need to go out in bigger numbers now. We can get more of what we want out of this administration if we just go out and start agitating in the streets. Let's vandalize more buildings. Let's spray paint more windows. Let's break more windows. Let's start cars on fire. Let's throw rocks at Border Patrol agents and ICE officers. Let's continue following them. This is what you do when you publicly retreat, which is what we're basically seeing this administration start to do or show signs of doing, all in the name of midterms, which are almost certainly going to lose anyway. This is the big problem. You cannot give these people an inch. They'll take the mile every single time. It's almost like a domestic war at this point. And a lot of liberals are showing up now. I'm seeing it on my TikTok feeds. They're even saying it's time to go above and beyond protesting. I just saw a guy, a liberal on TikTok, say, stop showing up with signs and recognize what this is. It's time to stop protesting. We're in a fight. They know that the ante needs to be upped even more, and they're willing to do it. And the problem is, on our side, we have Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, all these other softball agents who are unwilling to do what is necessary. Trump threatens the Insurrection Act 4 or 5 times now. At this point, it has no weight. The threat carries no weight of the Insurrection Act. He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it. It carries no weight. What we should be seeing is we should be seeing a garrison of soldiers sent to this city to back up the ICE agents who then go door to door, shut down the sanctuary city, impose martial law, impose a curfew, and during curfew hours, you go door to door and you find all of the illegal immigrants and you round them up and you deport them. Send them to Alligator Alcatraz, and if a judge goes to their cell and determines they're not here legally, get them the fuck out of this country. And people want to sit here and cry, that's not constitutional. The Democrats don't give a fuck about the Constitution. Have you not lived through 2021 through 2025? They don't give a shit. You're over here worried about something that the liberals don't play by anymore. They're not playing by the rules. True, there should be no sanctuary cities in America. Absolutely. Juanita Flores 7440. You know what's funny is you have a username like that. People would be more surprised, I think, to learn that people like you support my messaging, which they of course say it's racist. America is for Americans. It's not about racism. America is not just for white people. It's for Americans. What's an American? An American is someone who was born here legally to parents who are here legally. That's what an American is. And that's why this issue of immigration is so important. It's incredibly important. And we are continuously voting in people who aren't willing to go the full mile that is needed to get the job done when it comes to saving this nation from illegal immigrants. Our nation is at stake here. There's no denying it. If you do even just 10 minutes of research, Biden intentionally flooded this nation with illegal immigrants to replace us as Americans. The Democrats know they can't win elections without all of the fraud. They can't win elections anymore. They're too unpopular. Their policies are too unpopular. They were trying to replace us. They nearly succeeded. And if Trump doesn't do the job that he needs to do in this administration, and he doesn't get enough of them out, he can't get them all out. I never thought at all at any point in time when I was voting for him that if there's actually 22 million illegal immigrants in this country, that Trump can deport all of those in 4 years. But I just was hoping, and I'm still hoping, that this administration can get a good chunk of them out. If he can get out 4.5 to 6 million over the course of his term, that would be a great start. That would be a huge dent in the problem. From there, ideally, we get another conservative in office who will be tight on immigration and deportations and continue the trend for another 4 years. That's the plan. That's what needs to happen. But these people, they're too soft. Republicans are cucked. They're just a cucked party. I'll take a look at some comments again. America is all countries. Get your knee pad before they sell out. I am a gardener. I use knee pads for gardening. Something like January 6th. He's incompetent. Thank God. I support ICE. Absolutely, Juanita. Absolutely. Knee pad Newsom. Yeah. Well, Gavin Newsom is a traitor to this country. I meant to make a video on my channel. I've been so busy I've had to go live instead of making pre-recorded and edited videos. But Gavin Newsom disgusted me in a way I never thought he would at the World Economic Forum. I could go off on a whole tangent about that, but he was openly encouraging leaders, other world leaders, to defy our president. He's a traitor. And by the way, on the subject of being a traitor, Alex Preddy and Renee Good, they're traitors too. They are traitors to this country. And that's why it's not, I hate when they say it's a tragedy what happened. These are traitors that went out into the street and gave their life for a cause that doesn't care about them and never will. He's slimy as fuck. He makes Satan proud. I agree. Gavin Newsom does do that for sure. I don't know what's going on with this country, but it's not good and it's not pretty, says Wally Fister 6361. What's going on with this country, Wally, is that we have been we've lived through an attempt now to take over this country by the Democrats. We've lived through that effort, and they failed. But they're still lying in wait to take back power and succeed. And what we need right now are good, strong people on the right side of the aisle to step up and make sure that that can never happen. And we don't have it. We don't have strength in this party. That was actually what was going to lead me to my final point for this stream, actually. I know this sounds crazy. This is going to sound super accelerationist, but this midterm election cycle, I very likely will not be voting Republican. The message has to be made clear to our party that no, you actually have to earn our vote. And if you're going to make all of these promises on a campaign trail and massively underdeliver, be honest with yourselves. The cost of living is still not great. And I understand people say it takes more than 1 year. We'll see about that. If you're not going to follow through on your promises when it comes to immigration, if you're not going to follow through on your promises when it comes to deportations, cost of living, etc., if you can't get the job done and you continuously cuck out and you're focused more on the Middle East and foreign policy and Ukraine, hey, Trump was talking about Ukraine the other day, a country I just don't give a fuck about. Ukraine can be conquered by Russia for all I care. Ideally, Ukraine's conquered by Russia, and we reach out to Putin and we say, hey, we're going to lift sanctions off you now. This war was stupid. The sanctions were stupid. It's time to resume trade talks and a trade relationship with Russia. We're sorry we had to drive you into the hands of China over a stupid, pathetic, corrupt country like Ukraine. But there's Trump defending it again. We need to spend money on Ukraine. Why? Why? Our country sucks right now. Our country sucks right now. That money should be reallocated here. The Monroe Doctrine, it needs to be followed strictly. And if it's not going to be, and if we're not getting deportations, and we're not having the promises made to us, like lived up to and kept, then why vote for them? This sounds accelerationist. I know a lot of people disagree with this, but I'm a spiteful, hateful person, okay? You'll see that in the comments from all of the liberals. So many liberals, right? They've just dyed their hair blue. There's blue ink all over their bathtub. They're 400 pounds overweight. They have to use oil to squeeze back out of the shower. They get in the chat down there and they say, you're so full of hate. You claim to be a Christian and you're so full of hate? Yeah. I hate evil. I do. I hate evil, which is why I hate most liberals. I hate it. I hate what I've seen happen to this country over the last decade, especially the last 5 years. I hate it. I do. So I'll double down on that any single fucking day. And on top of that, that's why, with that spite, I will take a look at any Republican that is in my county, my district, my state, my country for that matter, and I will look at their record. And I will determine for myself from now on going forward if they're worth voting for, as any American should. Just because they run with an R next to their name doesn't mean they deserve your vote, and it doesn't mean you have to vote for them. And I know people say they're the lesser of two evils. I am sick and tired of voting for the lesser of two evils. How about in the future we get a chance to vote for something actually good? Can you imagine that? It's almost like that's the point of what elections are for, by the way, voting for what you deem to be good. If you as a Republican have to sit back and say, well, they're the lesser of two evils. He's a rhino, but I mean, he's not the Democrat. I'll vote for him, I guess. What fucking country are we living in? Ask yourself that. Be honest with yourself. Do you not hear yourself when you have to say that? We shouldn't have to be subjected to those kind of situations, which leads me to my final point. We need more good people running it for office. And that could be any one of you down there, so long as you're not a liberal, of course. If you're a liberal, please continue to abort children. Please don't raise children if you're not a liberal. I'm pro-abortion when it comes to liberals aborting their kids. Please get rid of that future filth that you would have corrupted. By all means, please. Or even better, because I don't like abortions at all. If I could eliminate abortions overnight, I would. But so even better, if you're liberal, chances are that voice that you hear in your head says, you know what, you're probably the opposite gender that you were born as. You should listen to that. And please have your genitalia removed. Do not reproduce, okay? But if you're a conservative and you're in the chat right now, chances are you're the kind of person that should be getting politically involved. And you can do so at low levels. You never have to have the aspirations and ambitions to be a president or even a governor or a senator. But we need more good people. That is going to be one of the main points that I start to focus on this channel, is forming a coalition. We need a coalition. We need an American advocate coalition, people who are willing to step up in their communities to actually make the change, like Michael Jackson would say, be the change you want to see. We need that. The man in the mirror. Start with the man in the mirror. Okay? And that's what we need, because otherwise you're dealing with Republican slop. These Republican slop politicians who literally are just there to make money. If you're being honest with yourselves and you follow the money, money's called currency for a reason. River current goes where it goes, and you can follow it, and you can see where the river goes. Money is currency, and currency always has a pattern. You can follow the currency. You can do that with Republicans too, and it becomes very clear to you why the Republicans are so ineffective in government when you follow the money. And that's one of the big problems here. And we need people with moral scruples. We need morally upright people to breach this Republican Party. At any level, town council, school board, mayor, lieutenant mayor, governor if you can, senators, congressmen. We need that. That's what's missing. That's the problem in this country right now. Who just come out already? Yeah, that's the message for any liberal. Nice neck beard. Thanks. I work 2 jobs for a living, so it's hard to keep up on the shaving. I ride solo. Listen. If you're a liberal, oh, by the way, hold on a second here. We don't put user in timeout. Hell yeah, timeout 24 hours, bitch. We don't spam the chat, okay? Just come out already. That's something that you need to have a discussion with like both your mothers and let them know you're thinking about coming out. I'm sure they'll be proud of you. But we're not going to tolerate the spam in the chat. You can say your message and I'll see it once, okay? Thank you very much. Now, please, go take your medication and go tune into David Pakman so you can understand what belief you should be sharing today. Anyways, that's the messaging I want to leave everybody off with tonight. If you're a conservative, you go to church every Sunday, you believe in God, then you're part of what could be the potential solution to this country. Get politically active. Don't buy into the fact that religion and politics don't mix. We need to bring this country back to God. We need to restore America to its Christian nationalist state that it was always intended to be. And we need to defend our country. We need to protect our society. And we do that by getting involved. Bottom line, these current Republican politicians, they're not going to cut it. You have to accept the reality for what it is. Trump has been beneficial when it comes to sparking the fire. I see so many young people nowadays, more than ever, young men, Gen Z men, young millennial men. They're talking about politics, and that's a great thing. But we need to get the messaging out there that you can't just sit back If all you're ever going to do is sit back and complain about your politicians, you need to take that as a sign that maybe you yourself should consider getting politically active. Because if you don't, and you sit back content to just allow the lesser of two evils to always win, it's comparable to watching the car of liberals speeding down the highway at 100 miles an hour. You're in the car of Republicans going down that same highway, the road, the path of obstruction. Republicans currently are on it too. They're just doing the speed limit. That's the difference right now. That's what's so unacceptable about our current political landscape. That it really is. Republicans drive the speed limit on the same road of destruction that Democrats go double the speed limit on. And that's unacceptable. And it doesn't have to be that way. But the change that we need is going to take a while, and we have to be ready for that. And if we make those changes, I have a lot of optimism around the 2030s. I think it could be a renaissance period for this country. But a lot of it is going to be dependent on just what happens in the next election and what we decide to do as people going forward. It is stressful times. Chill, bro. I get the vents. It's tricky. I'm chill. I'm pretty chill. I know it seems like I'm ranting, but, my blood pressure is probably okay. You just made everyone dumb. Thanks. All right, go tune in to David Pakman then. Thank you. The smartest guy out there, David Pakman. Go watch him, or Brian Krasenstein. I'm sure his voice turns you on. Sending hate from Florida. It sounds like you should probably leave Florida if you're disagreeing with my messaging. You probably don't belong there. I have good vibes all day, even in the worst of times. Yeah, I'm the same way. Listen, like I'm actually pretty chill overall, but at the same time, you got to address issues. You got to address what's going on. 5 minutes from now, I'll be listening to music and going about the rest of my evening just fine. But I created this channel for a reason. I'm sick and tired of seeing all the bullshit happening, and people aren't covering it with like sincerity. These MAGA cheerleaders out here. There's so many MAGA cheerleaders out here too that are in complete denial, and we can't keep protecting Trump at all costs. I voted for him, but when he makes mistakes like this Greg Bovino thing, that's very likely going to play out the way I think it will. If Greg Bovino winds up getting fired, that's a massive mistake on the Trump administration. It truly is. Don't give an inch, not another inch to these people. Don't do it. All right, that's going to wrap it up for here, though. That's what I wanted to come on here to say. Be sure to subscribe to American Advocates for more content like this if you agreed with the messaging. But just remember something. If you voted for Kamala Harris on your knees like a good little boy, and you did what you were told, and you fill out a chore chart for your wife back at home so she can give you a monthly sucky, tuggy, this channel's not for you. You're an emasculated, feminized bitch, and you don't belong on this channel. This is for real Americans who care about this country. This is for conservative, red-blooded Americans who love this fucking country and can't stand to see the direction that it's been taken down by liberal scum. So if you're liberal right now and you're still on this stream for some reason, get off this stream, block this channel. I would say just block this channel. Okay? We're proud to be Americans over here. We say the pledge every day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We love that stuff. This is for Christian nationalists. The American Advocates Coalition will rise. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Like I said, be sure to subscribe. Check out my other content. Feel free to leave comments on the stream after the fact. I'll reply to them if they're worth replying to. If you're a liberal and you're just going to spout off nonsense, I'm just going to laugh at your comment like I do and then just literally ignore it because you're not worth replying to. Liberals aren't worth the energy. I'm not here for unity. Liberals don't deserve the unity that they now claim that they want because they didn't want that back during 2022, right? They didn't want any of that back then. So no unity. It's not about that anymore. It's about fixing America, and it's about doing it on our terms. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye. Bye, Nazi. Thank you. Appreciate you. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Take care.